Okay, everybody, ready to roll?
Mike's on.
Mic's on, yeah. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. If any member has reason to believe that this meeting is being held in violation of this act, they should state at this time. Nobody said anything, so Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dave, roll call, please.
Yep. So we got Michael,
Yep.
Councilman Bodnar. Here. Christopher. Gretchen.
Here.
Kimberly.
Yeah, here.
Randall. Here. Justine.
Here.
Barbara.
Here.
Sarah.
Here.
Charlotte.
You hear, Charlotte? Okay.
Oh.
And myself.
Okay. We have minutes of November 26th for approval. Anybody have any changes to the minutes? If none, just anybody make a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Planning board report, we haven't been that busy. We did approve a site plan for the ice cream building across from Colliers. They revised the parking a little bit, so it makes it easier to get in and out of, and they added some outdoor seating. We don't have any applications tonight, but we do have, we're talking about access plan with the city and master plan consistency for that. And we have zoning board review some zoning board decisions for 2023. And that's about it. There are other applications coming up from what I hear. Steve, you want to say something? You want to say something? Oh, by the way, I forgot, this is Steve Bodnar, our new council person who is now our liaison, and welcome.
Sure.
We're very informal here, so you want to bitch and moan all you want. Okay.
Okay.
Say much.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to say thank you. I'm glad to be on, to be the liaison, glad to be involved with this group of people. So for those that I do know and have met before, glad to see you. For those who we're just going to be working with and maybe meeting for the first time, like I said, look forward to working with you. So it's going to be a good thing. First couple of weeks have been a bit of a whirlwind, getting up to speed with certain, council business. I've been involved with different committees and different boards in the city, so it's a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar issues. Look forward to working on those. There's a couple matters I did want to talk about today, just to kind of to address. One is, I guess, just give it a little bit of an update. And I guess, look, I'm going to find my way as far as with this group as well. My goal is, one, if I have information that I think is important that's coming up before City Council, to put it on our radar so that we can discuss that as a group and see how it fits into what's going on with the city and provide, get input and give feedback to the city, but also if there's issues that are coming up, I want to inform as well. So that's, and I'm also going to be open to any information that comes from us as a group to take back to City Council as well, because I think and I expect that we would take positions on certain matters that would be coming up before the city. One of them I just want to just provide some information on is the Lafayette Street Park, the nature trails, that the work's going on. Just the city manager had just recently given us an update on that. The good news is they're moving along as far as construction of the nature trails. So the pilings are 90% in. They anticipate continuing with the construction. As hopefully this week, now that the weather has started to get a little bit better, the last couple of weeks haven't been ideal from a construction standpoint, but things seem to be moving along as far as with the nature
So the
trail
pilings for actually the walkway going around? No?
for the walkway.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So they're really making excellent progress with that.
I don't know if I've ever seen a final revised plan of that, but are they going all the way around to the school? I mean, all the way around to the back of the school, or are they going to stop out there and come back?
I believe it goes all the way around to the school. If you look on the city website, there's a plan on there for the nature trails, and it looks as though there's a complete loop. There is an access from the school onto the nature trails as well. It's going to be a secure entrance, though, so because it's secure for the schools, but students will be able to access the nature trails directly as well. But it'll be a large loop for us, when we go out there to walk, if anybody's a runner, to go and run out there. And if you've had a chance to have a peek at just what is back there at any point, I say this for anybody who's watching. I think people here in the community that get out and about and walk around have had a chance to see what's in those back meadows there. It's going to be outstanding as far as what it's going to open up a new area in Cape May for public access to be able to see that in a manner that you can walk in and have that type of recreational activity. But I think it's going to be beautiful.
Materials, what's going to be made of? You know what I mean, the walkway?
I think that there's going to be a combination of items there. I think that some of it's going to be like composite type of materials in there. I'm not so sure what all of the boardwalks are going to be made from. I've seen some pictures out there right now that it looks like it has almost like those mats that are out there, like the same as the beach mats. I don't know if that's, I intended on asking Paul Dietrich about that as far as what that is going to be. I suspect that, don't hold me to this, please. I don't know if that's just a temporary measure while they're doing the work out there, so the workers have something to stand on as far as when they're putting the pilings in. I suspect that is
I mean,
the
we were
case.
doing some planning before, when I was involved with 3 years ago with that project. They were actually going to complete it as they went. I mean, they actually were going to build it and completely finish it as they keep going out, so there'll be a lot less, problems with affecting the wetlands on either side of it. So I don't know if they're still doing that or not.
Yeah, I don't.
But it was fascinating the way they were going to do it.
I don't know what how they're going about as far as with the actual construction of it, but yeah, there you go. There's it, and I think there might be, if there's not information on that there, I think there is information on the website as far as the construction of it as well. I think it's going to be, width-wise, I think it's going to be like 6 feet wide, between 5 and 6 feet wide all the way around. So there should be plenty of space out there for people to get out and about and, walk the meadows.
Access to it, like from a car to get there to park, to go out to walk. I mean, is there going to be something from, was it Broad Street then, I guess?
It's going to be accessible from Lafayette Street Park. So the park needs to be completed, and the park is another piece of this that is still, it's under construction. It has, sometime this spring, I believe it's anticipated that the dog park will be completed. The work on the green space out there will be worked on, and there will be access from that park area, from the park to the nature trails. At this point, we still have the parking that exists out there, and my understanding is we anticipate having that parking lot for the foreseeable future. When the park is completed, there will be a paved parking lot out there as well. So that paved parking lot will serve the entire park, people that take their dogs out there to walk, people that use the park area for recreational purposes, people that want to use the nature trails will be able to park their vehicles and be able to just walk and quickly be able to access the nature trails as well. So that's,
And the police building is going to be right at the corner of St. John's and Lafayette, that corner, pretty much?
yes.
No?
That is correct, and I give a little bit of an update on that as well. Because there was I believe it was this past Tuesday, there was a public comment to the DEP regarding the land swap. So that took place here. Why that's an important step in the entire process of the land swap. There were several individuals stood up, gave remarks regarding the land swap. There have been a couple of written submissions as well, and the process that takes place is a transcript is made of that proceeding. That transcript is sent to the DEP for the next step in the process. Our goal at this point is, and the importance of getting that public comment period done in the process, and at this point in time, is it needs to be done to be able to get on to the next meeting agenda for, I think it's for the DEP, and they only meet quarterly. So we want to get on, I think, the March session, because if we're not on the March session, then we may lose the opportunity to have it done as quickly as we would want to get done for the land swap. The sooner the land swap is finished, then we can move forward with the police station. But yes, to answer your question, that is the location for the St. John Abroad.
Still trying to get funding from the county to help all this stuff, do you know?
For the police station?
No, actually for the park, I was thinking mainly
For the park, yeah. There's been a combination of factors at work. As a matter of fact, the nature trails, the nature trails, there was a significant funding that went towards the nature trails. So which has, look, benefiting us in many ways, as far as first from the community, but also from a financial standpoint. It's really benefiting the city. And the goal is to continue with that with Lafayette Street Park, the next phase of it as well. Okay. So any thoughts, comments, or anything regarding that, or questions? So the other issue that I just wanted to bring up, and you tell me, is this an appropriate time to bring this up? So last Wednesday, we had at City Council, we had our, I'll call it the reorganization meeting, where we took care of the matters that hadn't been addressed in the emergency reorg meeting that we had in the beginning of January. After that, we had our first, City Council had its first regular session of the year. And on the agenda is an ordinance amending the city code to provide for control of plastic dust and contaminants. So I brought that ordinance here today, provided each of you with a copy of that. I mean, it was on the city site last week, as far as with the items that were available for the public to see on the, for the meeting. But I didn't know if people may have seen it, people may not have seen it, but I brought it in case for those that have not had an opportunity to see it. But the ordinance addresses environmental and personal safety due to the release of dust and plastic contaminants from products used at construction sites. Well, there's a lot of, it's Cape May, so we know there's a lot of construction going on in Cape May all the time. And while there's a lot of construction sites that do take care to maintain a safe and clean construction site, the ordinance would require that construction sites take steps to contain and not disperse microplastics. A lot of the products that are used these days, I know that this group knows very, very well. We're talking about AZEK, we're talking about fiberglass products, plastic products, all of those different products that are used in construction. And if you've ever cut any of those products on your own and try to clean them up, well, there's a couple issues. One, they create the finest dust that you can possibly imagine. Also, there's health concerns and health issues regarding those plastics, whether it's breathing them or whether it's getting into the soil and soil contamination. And lastly, as I said, if you ever have cut them, just even trying to sweep it up is an ordeal. It's so fine, you really have to vacuum it up. And what this ordinance is addressing is those construction sites and just requiring that construction sites that are working with those different products maintain a clean site and also take certain steps to ensure that from a safety standpoint for workers, for a safety standpoint for, for the public as well and environmentally, that they take certain measures such as, specific measures such as having vacuum devices attached to their tools or on site to be able to clean up that dust, and also to use tarps underneath, so to catch the dust in the products so they don't end up in the soil, and also requires that the sites are maintained so they're cleaned up on a regular basis as well. So this ordinance was just introduced at the last city council meeting. It was, at this point, it's going to move on to the next step for public commentary. I wanted to bring it to attention of everybody on this commission, thinking that if there's any comments or feedback, any thoughts that you have on this.
Two comments.
Sure, yeah.
This is commendable, but how is it going to be enforced?
Yeah, that's my question, too.
Because we have a host of ordinances like this on the books and a dearth of code enforcement in the city.
So that's, code enforcement will be, code enforcement falls to a certain degree under, well, our city manager, our police department. That's in the same manner that other codes need to be enforced. So could you make an argument that there's an issue with enforcement throughout Cape May? That's a conversation that we can have. But in this instance, this is a step to try to address those particular issues. There would have to certainly be a discussion about that, but we have people, we have code enforcement folks out there who go out to different sites and check, and their charge would be to, this is one other issue that they would need to look at. I think primarily, there's definitely an aspect of this that is we're seeking compliance, not necessarily punishment. And I think that's really, I think that's what we're always looking for in our ordinances, for people to just comply. But it's a step in a direction of trying to, maintain those sites and to try to avoid getting these contaminants in the soil and control them from just being airborne.
Perhaps the planning board can provide this information to its applicants, like require some sort of acknowledgement of its receipt in order to gain approval.
So one of the items that was mentioned as well at the meeting, the city council meeting, was when contractors
I think this should be more or less, when they get a building permit, they ought to be, that's not, it's kind of a little bit outside the planning board purview, but I think certainly the construction department will have a checklist of things they have to do, if
So-
this goes further.
That's the discussion, Mike, is to have it added to the checklist. So first off, contractors are aware. That's first and foremost, they have to be aware of this. But secondly, and then there's acknowledge that they'll comply with it. So I think that's a big part of it.
Charlotte, did you want to say something? Charlotte, turn your volume up, okay?
You know, as far back as the early 1970s, my children were in that school, and Mr. McCarty, their science teacher, took them on science walks back there and let them know about the ecology of the area. And I'm fully invested with the Nature Center and New Jersey Audubon taking an active role and leading school and visitors to that site. And I would hope that we would get an endorsement by our environmental commission to the city council that the Nature Center take an active role once the site becomes available for the public to see. So that is just generally an endorsement and a comment.
Okay. Is that it, Steve? Are you done now? You were good?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only, look, I think the goal is we want as many people to use those nature trails as possible. So, so I think that and I'm sure the city is going to be promoting that they be used. So, yeah, I mean.
It's certainly a work in progress, Charlotte, about actually monitoring all this stuff, but it's just got so much potential over there, so we just have to watch it.
Right. Thank you.
Anybody else have any more comments about that? Meeting dates?
I have a comment, getting back to this proposed ordinance.
ahead.
I just want to, that was the same thing that I had concerns about, was enforcement. That I know typically in the building process, building inspectors come out at certain phases during the process to do their inspections, but that's kind of like when the work's already done. That I don't know if there's an opportunity that there's like pop-up inspections, that while work is going on, code enforcement goes out and checks on that. I don't know, maybe that happens. I don't necessarily seen that. Where I live, we had, major roofing projects done, and we're getting ready for siding projects. It's usually the building inspector that does inspections at certain points of the process. So, how is this going to be checked on? That's my only question.
So look, these are, that is a key issue, that is a significant issue. At this point, as I said, the ordinance, not every issue regarding it has been completely hashed out. So definitely, that is something that needs to be addressed. At this point, and I'm sure that'll be part of the process of, if we are going to have an ordinance, I agree with you. This, as with any others, if we're going to have an ordinance, then it should be enforced. Otherwise, question as far as whether it's this or other issues, as far as whether they really should be, we should have them. So I'll take that back. I know that is an area of discussion with those that would be on that part of it, because there is a resource issue when it comes to that. And candidly, look, with the amount of construction going on, I realize inspectors can't be everywhere all the time. But so that is one of the issues we'll have to discuss. and whether that's going to be directly a city council issue or more becomes an issue for, really for city management to address. All I can say there is, my feeling is city council and the city manager's office work very, very well together, and I'm sure that there's going to be a dialogue between them to try to make whatever comes out of this work as best as possible, because that's, ultimately, that's everybody's goal.
Okay. Very good. Next item up, we have, Dave has given us our meeting dates for the year. So just keep these in the back of your mind or put them in your phone or whatever. I didn't check all the dates, but it's, we haven't changed our last Tuesday of the month, so that's when all they should be. Paul, did you want to say something? Or are you just listening right now? Go ahead.
Please. Picks up. Two things. Thank you for everybody. I have one initiative that I'm looking to start for this coming year. If you recall, last year, we had, when we were dealing with the artificial turf ordinance, we kind of asked for a representative from each of the different boards. We kind of came together as a group and kind of, I think, made an ordinance better by involving planning, zoning, HPC, Environmental Commission, and all the different groups in the city. I'm looking to bring that back and have quarterly meetings of that group. So I'd ask if you guys could, I'll be sending an email to all the chairs of all the, the Planning Board, Zoning Board, HPC, Environmental Commission, and Shade Tree to kind of designate a representative to kind of meet quarterly to discuss general issues and that each board may have, and see how we could work together, whether it's working together on an ordinance or changing just how each other board perceives each other, just so that there's better overall city coordination. It's kind of a spin-off of what I've seen out of our quality of life group that we have going internally. I thought it would be good to bring the boards together at least quarterly just to have that roundtable discussion. So if you could be looking at that and just start having that discussion about who.
Once we get your notification, then we'll bring it, put
Yeah,
it on our agenda.
put it on the agenda, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And as far as code enforcement of this ordinance, that is going to be a very difficult one to police from a code enforcement standpoint, just like a lot of those little ordinances are out there. Our code enforcement are not driving around the city looking at every ordinance just to put out notices, because they'd never get out of, they'd be down 2 blocks and they'd be there for a week if they wrote up every ordinance of everybody that was doing something minutely wrong. So it's going to be, I think, a large public education outreach. Obviously, outreach when we have a checklist for construction permits. Just put that on the additional checklist to make sure that they are aware of the ordinance, and then it'll be a spot check kind of a thing. But it won't be a wholesale thing, because there are so many ordinances on the books to check for everything. I would need a squad of 20 code enforcement people to write and enforce every ordinance on the books. But I think it's one of those ones that we'll try to work predominantly from a public education standpoint first, and then follow up with enforcement as we see it.
Okay. While Paul's here, anybody have any questions?
Did you have any question for
Paul?
me? I haven't been to one of your meetings lately, so I just wanted to make sure that I got to the first one of the year.
If we wanted to leave.
I know, but I just wanted to, I'm always going to try to make a presence, so if you have anything for me, just let me know.
How many full-time code enforcement officers do you have?
We have 2.
Is there a best practice, like if people in the community see a violation, to contact a code enforcement official? What's the best?
So code enforcement, it's codeenforcement@capemaycity.com. Just shoot them an email, and that's on anything. That's how we get a lot of tips and concerns. But don't forget, it's not just contractors; it's you homeowners too. So it's everyone that's doing that kind of thing, and it's, I mean, it's a difficult, if you've ever worked in that trade and tried to cut and build something outside, the wind is not cooperative. So collecting this kind of material, it's never going to be a 100% thing, because the wind is going to take it and do it. But if they have a tarp underneath and they can try to collect the majority of that salt, I'm going to call it sawdust, it's not really sawdust, but that cutting debris, that's going to be what we can try to do. But yeah, anything that you see out there, code enforcement at capemaycity.com, shoot them an email, and they'll promptly go out and take a look at it.
So maybe part of public education could just be the options there.
Yep.
letting more people-
It's kind of like with we have the light ordinance, and that's more of I'll say more of a reactive ordinance where that's incumbent upon a homeowner to call in and say, hey, my neighbor, he's got a light, it's really shining into me, can you take a look at it? Not saying this is going to be that reactive of type of an ordinance, but that one was written specifically that so code enforcement wasn't driving around at night looking for bright lights. It was when a problem occurred. Obviously, but that's how code enforcement works on a lot of things. So yeah, that's how we get a lot of tips. Hey, my neighbor's got a pile of lumber in his backyard and I don't see a permit thing. Does he have a construction permit? We get those all the time. And that's what they'll always go out and check out each one of those concerns that come in from a concerned resident, for sure.
While I'm thinking about it, I'm just thinking out loud about Lafayette Street Park. Is there going to be a where they can let a helicopter out there still?
Yes. So where I call it the multi-purpose field that has the newer set of lights, that field will always, that's where they'll be able to come in and land for a heliport. There'll also be an open grass area where the softball field used to be. That area will still be an open grassed area, so that area will be available. Won't have a formalized softball. We're going to probably try to put the base pads around, but it'll be in the grass area so that you could go out and play a pickup game of kickball, softball, baseball, whatever you wanted, but it's not going to be a skinned, infield with the dugouts and the backstops and stuff like that. More of an open space for multi-use play.
There's no demand for that.
There isn't, we don't, very limited.
Used to be.
Used to be, but, obviously our recreation programming has changed over the years for Cape May City, for sure.
Anybody else?
And obviously, the nature trails, they actually did the first pour of the concrete piers. They've put in all the pilings for out in the meadows. They poured this first batch of concrete pile caps today, and hopefully anticipating having the project open by the summer season. So
That's exciting.
it's going to be, and I'll try. I know I've shared some of the pictures out there to council. Maybe I'll put some of the pictures on our construction update page, just so that the public can kind of see the views out there. It's a great views. You get to see the beautiful Cape May Water Tower over at Public Works Yard, but there are going to be some great views out
Drone
there.
pictures, that would be fabulous.
We actually have one drone picture
Okay.
of it already. But yeah, I'll get those up on the project site so the public can kind of see those construction pictures in progress.
Yeah?
All right.
Everybody good?
Thank you,
Still
everybody.
listen. You can still listen if you want.
Yeah, I will.
Garden Club Gretchen, you want to say something? It's on the agenda here.
Sure. So I'm retired, so I joined the garden club, and I went to my first meeting, and I was approached by Joanne Daminger, I think her name is, who oversees the water tower garden, and wanted to, I guess in the past, maybe you know this better than I do, that the garden club joined with the Environmental Commission for a grant, one of the ANJAC grants for the work there, and they would like to apply again. So I'm here bringing that message. I don't know exactly what they would want to do. I think it's just for additional plantings. But I'd like to add my 2 cents that if we partner with them on the garden project, that we, emphasize the use of native plants, pollinator-friendly plants. Maybe even the grant could cover some signage on eco-friendly gardening tips, conserving water, using less pesticides, that type of thing. So I'm just here as the messenger, saying that this is what the Garden Club would like to partner with the Environmental Commission on another grant. I don't know if there's other grants that we had in mind that we would be applying for.
I certainly don't have a problem with that. I don't want to recreate the wheel. I'm not trying to think, how can we get access to the last grant that we did, application we did, which would help us? Do you have it? Okay.
Charlotte, what did it focus on?
I can send you a copy, Gretchen.
Okay.
Why don't you send it to Dave and let Dave forward it to everybody? Okay? Is that okay?
Sure.
Do you remember just a quick summary of what the grant involved?
Well, initially, if you notice that little building that's, in brick, sits back from, the fencing and so forth, that was initially used by the city fathers to encourage people to come and taste desalinated water. So that we were thinking in the grant that we would be focusing on just all the things that you listed, saving water, the right types of plants that we would like to recognize. Perhaps too, just the area that needs to be mowed there, maybe we can add something new in terms of lawns are not really necessary. That would be the new, as far as the grant is concerned, a new element.
All right, well, I will work with the Garden Club and, understand what their direction is, but bring to them our concerns or our ideas. I'm just going to brainstorm here, think outside the box. There are other opportunities in the city other than that particular garden. Now, the new community center, if there's going to be any landscaping done there, is there an opportunity
Your
to
favorite, Harborview Park, right?
Harborview Park, which, I know that council's been looking at, and I have seen the plans, and it's exciting, but that the Environmental Commission be part of that conversation as well. So I'm just putting it all out there, what your thoughts are. These grants from ANJAC, they're not big grants, like $2,500. But what's your ideas on where do we focus?
I think if they want to do it and apply for an ANJAC grant, that's great, but as a commission, we should probably require that it be native plants,
Yeah.
right? Just because otherwise it's kind of in conflict with the work we've done thus far. I don't know how the Garden Club would feel about that.
I don't know. I didn't have that conversation yet, but I just said, her request was that they did it in conjunction with the Environmental Commission. Can we do it again? So I'll be the messenger and bring that message back. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Justine, you want to talk about the desalination water audit?
Yes, so the almost finished, hopefully, draft of the water audit was sent to everyone last week. If there are any comments, suggestions, edits, questions that you have, I would love to review them now, because ideally this is distributed to volunteer residents who would like to complete it, so the data can be collected and then sent to the Columbia researchers by February 15th.
Just the thought I had was, is there going to be a process like where they can meet, say, over Zoom or something for a few weeks, just to hold everyone accountable to what they're doing?
So in order to fill this out, so it's 1 week.
Okay.
So the log table in this, a second document, so there's one table for each day. And the recipients, or the participants may or may not know each other.
Okay.
Right, so they're really, I didn't consider a Zoom, but really it would be like, who wants to participate? Great, here's the material, fill out the questionnaire, track your water usage. When the week is over, drop your papers off at City Hall or email David for pickup. If they have questions about how to do it, there is a contact number and email provided, but do you think a Zoom would be helpful?
I'm just wondering if, like, when I went through it, it was kind of extensive, and I was just trying to think for myself, if I did this process, it might be helpful to just know, like, have up front, these are all the questions I have, get them answered, and then understand the process and know it's not so overwhelming.
Like, it's
to do
so
it.
an orientation Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good idea. Or at least, like, initial kind of Q&A.
Something like that.
Okay.
Justine, is this the day 1 through 7? Did you make that one up?
So I made it in collaboration with the Columbia faculty and administrator of the Sustainability Management Program. So what you are seeing was already approved by that program and met all of their requests and like editorial suggestions.
They've done this elsewhere?
They have, but they also went through this line by line
Okay.
and gave 2 rounds of feedback already. But it was the suggestion of the city manager and deputy city manager that we provide a review, as the environmental commission, provide a review of it as well and essentially sign off on it additionally. So,
There's, if I could.
Yeah, please.
You have here at the bottom, it says total indoor use. What if you, let's see, in most of our houses, if you water your garden, it's the same water meter, but it's outdoor use. And it could easily double your day's consumption of water if you have a big lawn and your sprinkler system and
Yeah.
so on.
So the way that is considered is that on page 3, you'll see a smaller chart for filling out this exact information for flow rate, daily use, and daily total gallons for outdoor fixtures. But because there are so many fewer types of outdoor fixtures, right, hoses, sprinklers, irrigation systems, we were able to include that here. It's also the winter time, so we're not going to gather as much data for outdoor usage right now. But if you look at
This is actually a good time of the year to do that.
makes it or a terrible time, because people use a lot of water, right, in the summer. So maybe at some point we should do a second one.
An outdoor.
But on the bottom of page 2, it says calculating indoor water use, and then indoor fixtures and appliances, please complete water audit log tables for days 1 through 7 attached at the end of this questionnaire. For capturing all water usage, it may be helpful to place a copy in each bathroom and the kitchen, right? Because people are probably not going to remember to carry this with them every time they're going into the bathroom. But, so Columbia had recommended actually making like extra copies that could be delivered upon request to participants, so they could just, they'd end up with a bunch, but put one in each bathroom, like right there by the door. So it's just there to jot it down if they want, so. Does that help answer your question? Okay. Gretchen, you said that you had some,
No, I actually, questions I had have been answered by
Okay.
understanding this a little bit more. Yeah, and I just think of, it is a snapshot in time because we know what it's like here with our houses being much more full of people, different times of the year. So,
would there be anything, so, actually, let me back up a little bit. One of the concerns that I had as someone more familiar with this area than the Columbia researchers were is the seasonality of it. And, you know, they knew to include some questions like primary, secondaries, like how many people, you know, tracking over the year. They asked for differences throughout the year, but like pool, yes, no, but is there anything more nuanced or specific that you all think we should include that would help uncover more of that? Like, should we ask, here says quarterly water use bill, Q1 to Q4, this is on page 2, 2024. So the goal is that participants would list the 4 figures, right? So we would capture the difference in the water bills over the years, so with the hope of revealing like
changes.
the change
seasonal.
in the high season. But, you know, other than that, there was, I put page 1, frequency of occupancy, primary or secondary, winter, spring, summer, fall, and then a few lines down, average of days per year with increased occupancy, i.e. hosting non-resident guests. So tried to phrase that succinctly, but a consideration I had was, well, having one person come visit for 2 weeks in the summer is a lot different than having a family of 4 come visit for 2 weeks in the summer, right? And so is there a way to rephrase that so that you're actually capturing the number of people per days in that season?
I'm curious about pools too.
Pardon?
I'm curious about pools too.
That
How much
is
they
in
change.
here.
I saw that.
And it asks how the pool is filled. Because a lot of people hire pool filling services to come rather than do it themselves. Because it's cheaper than doing it themselves and paying their water bill.
Or where I live, we have a community pool in our townhouse complex, so like, there's 60 units. Do I say I'm 1/60th of the pool usage?
Yeah, I think that would be relevant to include, and that type of insight would hopefully be recorded on page 6, under the suggestions, notes, and observations, or as like an asterisk note in the pool, like following the pool question.
With average length of time in the shower is a big difference between your mother and me.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So you might want to, like, you might encourage taking an average of those two. Like 10 minutes and 5 minutes, just go 7.5 or something.
So on the log table, let's just hypothetically say, so day 1, bathroom 1, shower, you would establish the flow rate. So there would be one number written in the flow rate chart, or the flow rate column. But then in the daily use column, you might have several, right? So let's say there are two people take showers that day. One shower is 3 minutes and one shower is 13 minutes. So you would probably record 3, and then the next person would come in and put like comma, then 13, and then you would sum it at the end of the column.
How are you determining your flow rate?
So that is explained how to do in here as well. There are instructions. It's on the bottom of page 2. flow rates and usage estimation. For each fixture or appliance, measure flow rate or use the listed averages. For faucets, collect water in a container for 10 seconds, measure with a measuring cup, and multiply by 6 to estimate gallons per minute. For shower heads, you use the same method, and for toilets, it is stamped on the side of the tank.
Is there any reason we cannot do a summer usage rather than winter? Because our real figures are off the wall in the summer.
So we cannot for the purpose of the desalination plant redesign, because the researchers need the data prior to the completion of their design proposal. But I think it's a great follow-up. And, I mean, it looks laborious to do this, but, I mean, most of it's a form that takes 10 minutes to fill out. Like, it's not
Right,
really
but I
that
just-
big of a
You know, I
deal.
just feel like this is our small population. We don't even have our snowbirds around using water. So, you know, it's kind of going to be on one side lopsided rather than our usage in the summer, which is when my kids come, help.
But this is just a snapshot of the average
Yeah.
household.
So maybe we could add like, do the winter one, but then add a summer total, if we could determine per person, and add that on somehow.
Justine, is this a phase thing? Like, this is like just one phase of it, then they're going to do it again in the summertime kind of a thing?
We can, if we want.
I mean, if they want to get an idea of what the desal plant usage is going to be, there's no way you should be just considering the wintertime use of this thing.
Should I make that recommendation?
I would think so.
Okay, so perhaps in 6 months, like in July,
I
we
mean-
should do it again?
I mean, I guess you'll have yes, they do say how much water you use for the year anyway.
Yes, we
So that's
will
in there
have
somewhere.
last year's and the year before for every single
So it's
participant.
not critical, I guess, that you have to have the summer, but you certainly,
No.
you have last year's numbers, regardless, whatever you did.
The past 2 years will be available through all quarters. So the total water usage will be there. What we will be missing is a more nuanced overview of how high season usage breaks down on a daily basis. But, you know, the reason that I actually like people doing this now is that the people that are here now tend to be the people that are more actively engaged and connected to our community, and will put more time, effort, and consideration into completing this. Like, I can't imagine someone who's only here for a month in the summer and then just rents out their home the rest of the time, like, really caring that much about this. So, and maybe there is a benefit to tapping into this smaller cohort of participants and then following up with them later.
I think this is immensely beneficial for people to see exactly what they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's-
It's more of an eye-opener.
I'm thinking about myself,
Exactly.
boy, am I an abuser.
yeah,
Really,
I-
no kidding.
I know.
It makes you think.
Eye-opening, that
Yeah.
to some people it would be like.
Yeah. I guess one of the notes we should make in the outdoor section, it's on the top of page 3. So due to winter weather conditions, we understand that this component of the audit is more difficult. If you're estimating, please note that on the form. Perhaps here we should just like drop it down and add something that indicates that we would like to conduct a follow-up on this portion in, 6 months, or even like, even though this is nearly untenable to complete at this time, like, it is important for us to understand. So if you can't calculate a flow rate, perhaps you can at least estimate the number of minutes you use your hose each day in the summer. I mean, I think that anyone who has a garden and actively takes care of it can probably estimate how often they use their hose each day. So,
I don't know if you want me to add something there. I think that's reasonable.
It does see here, seasonal variation, approximate usage increase in warmer months, gallons per day. Yeah, I think.
Okay, so where are we going to go now exactly? What do you want us to do here now? What do you think?
What do you want me to do in order to finalize this? Do you want me to add something?
Is this coming from the city or?
The city,
The
yeah.
city, okay,
So
not
this-
coming from Columbia
No.
students.
The city is going to, I mean, it depends on how many people we get to just, that already know about it, to volunteer to participate. Columbia is looking for a minimum of 15 households, which isn't a lot, but it's enough of an overview. Obviously, more is great. The city did say they would post a call for volunteers to the Facebook page. So that would be an easy way to attract participants, but I think also just through our word of mouth and talking to neighbors, we can also advertise it and spread it around. I don't know if we can collectively make a decision.
I thought, so, and even at the front here, for further resources or support, contact city, and it says, return to the city hall by the 15th, or mail Dave to pick up? I mean, is there a
Yes.
way to?
That was the suggestion of the city manager and the deputy city manager to
So it
phrase
physically
it.
has to be handed in?
Yes, because how, I mean, I'm not going to ask people to scan these and email them. That's, I feel like it's pushing it to
But
ask
they could
people.
mail it to the city, obviously.
They could mail it,
Can-
yeah.
Okay.
I guess we could add that.
Once you get into this thing, it's really, it's pretty definitive exactly what you have to do here.
It's very
Yeah.
I do like Sarah's suggestion that once you have an idea how many people are going to do it, maybe you can have some kind of a
Zoom.
Zoom type thing to say, here it is. This is just to reiterate what we want you to do here. Then it would just reiterate make it better for these people to understand.
Okay,
That's after they get like 30 people, 30 households to do it or whatever they get.
okay. Are you still thinking about like a gift card? So that is, yeah, we can, I don't care, it's up to us. It was offered. Is that like legal?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the
Doesn't ring
city.
true to me. I'm
That's a
not
question.
liking that idea at all.
I'm
honestly.
just like, how do you, right?
Yeah.
Because then you might have people, I mean, I don't think it could be set in advance, because then you would have people being like, sure, I'll do it, just to get the
gift
gift card, right? But if it's,
We could hand them out at
Completed.
Wawa.
No, what I thought was, as you had mentioned, like the nature center or something,
yeah,
you could give a gift certificate for the native plant sale.
oh, yeah.
You know, some water tolerant plants, or, you know, drought tolerant plants or something.
Okay.
That's something we could,
Is it legal to do that?
Ask upstairs.
Who's the right
That's all
person to
I
ask?
can think.
One
There-
other
well, I
thing,
mean, we have, in the past, we got funding and we gave out like mini grants. We gave out $300 mini grants for landscaping for wildlife, and it was filtered through the Nature Center. I know we're not a city entity, but you can do things like that.
So maybe what we could do is have the donor send the funds to the nature center and then earmarked for a credit to participants at the plant sale or something. I don't know.
I have another suggestion. If we're going to sign on and do this as participants, wouldn't we also want to sign on in the summer and follow up with it, another survey? Like, I think it just makes sense to do winter and summer if we could, with the same people, you know, like not take on new people, but just even within our own households in the summer. It
Yeah.
changes.
Sort of maybe that's where you would get an incentive for some kind of, say,
the end of it
you
all.
have to sign a letter of commitment or something, that you'll do 2 surveys.
I mean, if you're going to do it once, I would do it twice, you know?
I don't have a problem with you doing that, but when you know what your total annual was for the last 2 years,
And then you cut
just
way
take the
back.
difference, just take the difference, and you know where it is.
Yeah, it's an awareness.
Yeah. But it's not critical that you do it another time, but, yeah, it might be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, you're going to get a pretty clear sense. Obviously, the indoor usage will be lower now than it would be in the summer. Also, people are generally showering more, but if they don't have an outdoor shower, even that's hooked up to the water. So I guess your sewage bill would be less then. But the outdoor water usage is going to be the most, cover most of the difference between the low season and the high season.
On page 3, on that smaller chart,
Yes.
is that a typo where it says total indoor use? Do you mean total outdoor use?
It is a typo.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm thinking like. so-
And then, yeah, I just, getting back to that again, because of where I live in a townhouse complex, I don't know how I could answer that. Like, I don't know how I could get that data.
So that's okay. I mean, you
Answer
would
as much
just
as you
make a note of it.
Okay.
You know, and I think with any kind of questionnaire that, like, communities are provided, not every single question or component is going to be relevant to every single participant. I mean, very often when we're filling out forms, we're like writing NA or putting an asterisk next to a certain question, and that will probably be the case for some people this time too, but the idea is to create a broader questionnaire survey that allows us to capture as much as possible.
So that's my only other thing. Now I'm thinking, going back to the general information, would it be helpful to know the type of dwelling unit? Because there's a big difference between an individual house versus a apartment or a townhouse that has shared outdoor space.
Okay, so perhaps put that under, like, in between approximate age and square footage.
Yeah.
Or just be clear on your address what it is. I mean, if you're just you can't respond accurately. I don't think they would understand if you put your address, one of 60 units.
No, but, I mean, I live at 704 St. James Place, but if you didn't know, that's a townhouse complex. I just think, I don't know, I think that would be information they would want,
So why don't,
type of dwelling unit.
you see how we did, for the frequency of occupancy, there's the two, winter, spring, summer, fall. So why don't we do right in there another bullet point, type of dwelling, and then have a circle, circle which applies, townhouse, condo, apartment,
Single family, yes.
standalone, detached. Okay. Any other descriptors?
Is it helpful to know the lot size if it's a single family? Like how much water they're using, if it's a larger property?
Yeah,
I mean, their water usage is their water usage, right? Like, some people have huge lawns or huge properties and don't water them, and then my parents have a next-door neighbor with a very small property who's running water
All the time.
all day long.
Yeah, I think almost some of the questions are important we know what our usage is by our bills. But some of these questions are really important to know your habits and your, family size and all that kind of stuff. Even maybe more so than.
and really, it depends on, like, how much they want to delve into the data. Like, maybe dwelling unit doesn't matter, it's just the bottom line, water audit, water usage.
I
But-
don't know the full extent of what exactly and why all of this like granular data is being collected, or like, you know, what they're going to do with it. They are making recommendations for the desal redesign, as well as recommendations on how to reduce or repurpose the waste byproduct from the desal plant, and also make recommendations for increasing the longevity of the desal facilities, because they are extremely expensive, and even, you know, the brand-new ones, we can't expect it to last 4 generations. They just do not. And so there were going to be both technical and more community-based recommendations. I don't know exactly like what they're doing with the data. Are they putting it into quantitative form and creating like algorithmic modeling? I cannot say.
It's beyond my pay grade.
It's not my area of expertise.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you. Something's to be continued. Something's after this. Something's else is going to happen to this.
Right.
Yeah. So, just so I have clear marching orders here, can we just quickly review the edits? Okay. The type of dwelling on page 1, and then add the a mailing address where it can be returned?
Yeah, I think there just should be other options.
Mail, okay.
I mean, I would probably scan it in and
Mail.
email it to Dave, but
Okay, I also just thought of an idea, maybe perhaps they should be numbered, so that not only we have the name and identifier, but also, like, we have a sense of how many we've handed out, how many we're getting back. Might, just think
Yeah,
that's
so put-
pointless?
Application number.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, okay. All right, page 2, I didn't see anything. Page 3, the indoor typo. And then I didn't see anything on the last, but then also the orientation Zoom for FAQs, and then a request for a commitment to complete the log again in the summer. So perhaps add that to the thank you letter at the end. Okay.
I may have missed this. Was this Columbia's work doing this?
It was collaborative.
Okay.
So I worked on it for hours, and then also our intern worked on it, and the Columbia administrator and faculty worked on it. So it was a team effort here. In terms of the other related updates, the internship program, the Environmental Commission internship program is made official through the deputy city manager. He was presenting it to council, had the background checks and the liability forms and the waivers and consents. So that is all in the works and also wrapped up, so that's really great. There is the intern that worked on this, as well as on the e-waste projects that we did over the summer, who's been involved. But I also did reach out to Jeff Martin, science teacher at the LCMR, to see if there's a local student that would like to get involved in the internship program. And he connected me to a student named Cheyenne Hamby, who she wants to do like marine and environmental engineering in college. She's a senior at the local high school, very high achieving student, and I have a meeting with her tomorrow to discuss how she may be able to contribute, shadow even.
It's great.
That's
Thank you.
I have just two questions. So it says range for me to pick up, am I like going to their houses and picking up?
That's what Justin suggested,
I can help.
that,
That seems a little crazy.
I mean,
I mean, I don't mind.
Time consuming.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wasn't sure if that was,
Pick these up?
I mean, how are we going to get them back? We have to provide a multitude of options. So they can be dropped off,
Email.
picked up, mailed, I guess they can be emailed, but people are not going to want to scan them.
no, and I agree.
People hate scanning things.
I would recommend
an
giving City Hall's address.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, and then if you wanted to add a drop-off location from my office, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then,
I would definitely.
I don't mind if
I would
we
just
can't get
say-
other houses, I don't mind going
Make it a
over.
direct, make it a direct inquiry that if you want us to pick this up, let us know. something
yeah,
like that.
make special
That's
arrangements
what
for
it-
pickup.
And that's what it
That's
says
what
here,
it
yeah.
says.
Yeah, that's what it says, yeah. And I don't mind,
And I can
the
help.
town's small, I don't mind going to somebody's house
I
to pick
mean,
it up.
you also don't need to be the one to necessarily do it. We just need to have a person of
Point of contact.
contact. Right? Like, okay, you get an email that's, Jane Doe, who lives on Madison, wants her form picked up, and you're like, well, I can't go, and you blast out an email to the EC, which one of us can go grab it?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I'm,
Sarah said she'd pick them all up.
I'll just go all around town.
okay.
But I will add the mailing
I would.
address, but I don't think most people will mail them, because they're not going to want to buy the envelopes and pay the postage, and then you can't leave this in your mailbox. You're going to have to go to the post office, and that's just as easy as dropping it off at City Hall. And cheaper to drop it off at City Hall.
I think a Dropbox is a great idea. People come here all the time. It's a small town. It's very, very convenient. I think a lot of people would take advantage of that. Not saying that other people may not of the other process, but it's low maintenance too. You just check a box every once in a while and, well, and that's taken care of. Honestly, I'm much more in favor of that than any city employee or anybody from the commission going out to somebody's house. I think that really should be the avenue of last resort.
Justine, you ready? You all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, I can rewrite that last paragraph on page 1 with more detailed return instructions, and just say, our preference is to drop off. If you are unable to do so, please contact us and we will make other arrangements
Good.
or something. Okay.
We're running a little late now, and can we, anything that's obviously we want to discuss on, that or we can't just move to the next meeting? Anybody have any suggestions about that? You all right with Charlotte talking about it next month?
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
I had a quick question.
ahead.
Just if anyone has anything they need me to design, graphic design-wise, like that we have coming up, that we know of.
Yeah, which kind of segues into when I was thinking, if you're trying to get people to sign up,
Yeah.
I have all my programs running now for recreation. It's all local. So it'd be a really good idea to have some kind of ad made, so I can bring it to a roller skating, still going on, and get 300-400 people a day. And then
For
I
the water
have
audit?
yeah, and then I
Okay.
have my fitness programs going on. So right now, I'm dealing with the majority of it's going to be the locals. So it might be a good time to kind of jump on making an ad for that at least. So you can kind of help get some people to sign up for you, for sure. This would be a good time
Will
for
that
the winter,
help
for
to
sure.
have a water audit flyer?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, a water audit flyer would be great.
Okay.
We just have to make sure it's Cape May City residents.
Residents, right?
Only, like, no Lower Township, no West Cape May, no Cape May Point. I mean, they're welcome to do it for their own knowledge, but it's of no use to this project.
So you two will just coordinate with each other with the
Yes.
design. If you send it over to me, I can just have them printed up. I can have them at Convention Hall.
Okay.
If you need to, I can brought to schools. That's something if you want to do, I can
I thought the schools were a great resource.
get them printed up and brought over to.
There aren't that many choice students at the school, so most of them do live in the city. Do you think we could do that in the next,
It would have to
day?
be- yeah.
So that the city can, because I would really, really love to make these changes and have this go out in the next 48 hours.
Okay. Yeah, we could have something tomorrow.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, so motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okey-doke. Mic's off.
Justine, am I correct in assuming that I should not do my water audit?
Wait, I'm going to make some edits.